How we feeling? Really? I'm gonna try it one more time. How are we feeling? Yes. All right, so we have our first panel of brilliance. So I'm gonna invite our first panel to walk up, and our moderator for this panel is Swate Deepak, and she is with the STARS Foundation and traveled all the way from London en route to Mexico City. And if you haven't met her, please ask her about her earrings. Remember I was talking about fashion? Ask her about her earrings. So I'm gonna welcome Swati to the stage, and she will introduce the panelists for our morning session.
Brilliant. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. When Wani and Tanisha sent me this email, like I think maybe a week ago, 10 days ago, asking me to do this panel, I was like, of course. But I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys for allowing me to come on for this amazing panel. I'm so psyched. But also thank you to my team back at STARS Foundation as well for giving me the space to come out here at a really busy time of the year for us. So thank you, team. We are going to have an amazing conversation about how girls are breaking borders. And today is International Day of the Girl. It's here to recognize that girls are powerful. They are their own agents of change. We're not giving them the space that we're meant to give them, and we're not giving them the money that we need for them to organize and to do the work we need to. So I'm really glad that we're having this space and this conversation. For those of you that don't know, STARS hosts a collective called the With and For Girls Collective. It is 9 funders who believe that girls are agents of change, and we award 20 organizations every year that are girl-led and girl-centered, and we let girls in each region of the world make the decision on who wins and who gets our funding. And I'm just so excited to have 2 representatives from our winners, but also to learn from others. So I'm going to introduce you guys one by one. So first of all, I'm going to invite Tanisha Clement Gaspar. She is an activist here from Puerto Rico. Tanisha is just 21 years old.
Thank you.
Take a seat. Second, I'm going to invite Shai. Shai is from Young Women's Freedom Center down in Oakland, California. Shai is just 20 years old. The next person is Tandiwe. Tandiwe comes from Belize. And Tandiwe is just 18. We also have Tokata. You would have seen her in the video. Tokata is part of the Standing Rock movement, led it with the other young people. Tokata is just 15 years old. We also have someone who's going to be coming on live stream. You would have seen her in the video now. She is the youngest member of the panel, and I think the fact that our panel is actually called Girls Breaking Borders is an important reminder that whilst we've been able to bring these wonderful girls here today, and you guys have been able to come, there are many girls that cannot cross borders, that can't actually be here, that can't move because they're being held, they're being silenced, and they're being oppressed. And Jana Jihadi, she is 11 years old. She is the youngest person in the world to hold a press pass. Jana is joining us from Palestine. Hi, Jana. We're going to kick off with just the girls being able to tell us how they actually moved into their movements to become activists, to become leaders. We're going to start off with Jana because she's joining via Wi-Fi, and we want to make sure that we capture as many of your words as possible. We all send you so much love, Jana. We wish you were here in person, but your spirit will carry through and your words will carry through to all of those here in the room, but those of you watching via live stream too. So Jana, can you tell us a little bit about how you became an activist how you started into your movement and the work that you do.
First thing, hello everybody, and thank you very much for coming. And my name is Jenna Jahan. I'm 12 years old. Now, I live in the Pacific Minnesota, Palestine, and I'm the youngest generation thus far integrated into the Muslim world. I started happening when I was 7 years old, when I saw that there was not enough journalists to cover happenings here in Minnesota and Palestine. Stuff that had been killed in front of me when my uncle personally had been killed in front of me. A lot of things started to happen, and we really didn't know about our feelings as children in the population. So I wanted to cover whatever happens here in Minnesota, whatever happens here in our village and in Palestine in general, how children and girls every day get their rights violated, not only their past, and other child is a girl, so I was and send their message to the whole world. And then I became the youngest one.
Absolutely. What do you think, Jana? What was it specific about being a girl that made your movement into becoming a reporter, becoming a journalist? How was it more difficult for you, or why is it more powerful that you are a girl doing what you do?
It's more powerful, it's really powerful, and first, like being a girl, you're going to other occupations, it's really hard when I go to school, like there are a lot of difficulties that women or girls face in their life, like, and I can come to see because although that I see but I've never worked my whole life. Like there are a lot of workers that cannot let me go to my school, like you said, school 25 minutes and have to go to my school. And as a girl, I believe that girls are outside and they go to the house. And there are difficulties because, we also have, like, in the world, in a community that exists. So, like like a lot of people believe that boys have the strength more than girls, but I want to, like, say to the world that girls also have whatever they want to do, they can send the message that has to be said. Although it can be really powerful, it can be very effective, it can be very strong and get set in a really good way. And living here in Palestine as a girl, I see a lot of girls their rights violated. I see women from checkpoints getting their babies on a checkpoint because checkpoints are closed every single day. They cannot go to the hospital. They cannot go to any place they want to go to. I see girls being arrested, up to 11 or some old child or girl getting arrested in Turkey, even in the Egyptian law. A 12 years old child is not a child anymore. For example, 12 years old with only 3 days. I completed my degree for it, and when I came back, they stopped me at the border and treated me for 3 hours. This violated most of my rights. First, that I'm a child and I'm 12 years old. Second thing is in the law that if you have it in Turkey, they have to have a lawyer or a parents as their house. Anybody but I was chatting with my uncle that he was helping me with that application. He was screaming at me, threatening me, stopping me for a lot of hours, and before I remained silent because that's my right. A lot of teachers reported out saying that I am the next friend of Israel on their country just because I'm covering from my house. Just because I have arrest you, this child have to live. And I got a lot of threats, but we as girls and we as Palestinian activists, like, don't let them scare us because we have to control our fears and don't let our fears control us because if our fears control us, live. But I believe that every woman have or every girl have the power to do anything you want because you don't have to listen to any of the like bad community thinking. You have to break anything that you think is wrong because we have the power to do anything man can do. We have the power to do anything we want to do. Although if we're black, if we're white, if we're tall, that doesn't matter. We have to be equal. We have to live in peace, love, harmony, equality. We have to live like every other person in this world because we are human. We want to live, and I wish that we all can put a hand to make this world a world of peace, a world of love, a world of equality and justice. Free Palestine, to free the world from the next, to just make this world a world that we always wish to live in. Although I've never lived in freedom, like occupation came in 1948 and I was born in 2006. I never knew what that means. So I wish that we can put hands on because girls are half society and the other half. And behind every great man, a woman that grew him. And behind every great girl and woman herself. And yeah.
Jana, you're just 11 years old, and yet everything that you say has so much power in it, so much channeled. You're 12, sorry. I'm so sorry. I got the wrong memo. I got the wrong memo.
No, I just
Okay. But you have a lot of fans. Actually, when me and the other panelists were having breakfast this morning, everyone was so excited when they were asked to be on the panel when they saw your name on, because so many of us follow you, and I think what you're doing is a great example of channeling that power and amplifying that voice to create much more solidarity and much more hope for lots of girls all around the world. And I think one of the things that we were all talking about this morning was, you know, and we brought it up this morning around colonization and how we're all trying to decolonize ourselves. And I think it's just interesting the context that you're living in at the moment is under occupation. It is in almost the early stages. And Takata, I remember you just reflected on something this morning. I just wondered if you could share it with Jana as well.
Yes. So a couple months back, my father traveled to Palestine to meet with some of the activists there. He was privileged enough to meet with the family of Ahed Tamimi, and basically, sorry. But anyway, when he came back, he told us all basically that it was really hard for him to see the occupation because it looks just like the colonization that happened to the indigenous peoples of the US. It looks like the reservation, it looks like being held, because reservations, in fact, like the place where I live now, they're literally little encampments that were set up for us to die. They are essentially concentration camps that we continue to live in. The only difference is now the masters or the police who used to be there have gone, and they left their system of oppression there. And so he said the difference between Palestine and the difference between Standing Rock is only the fact that we are in different stages of colonization. Standing Rock is living in the aftermath and Palestine is living in the early stages of colonization. And so yeah, that's what he shared with me.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And by the way, ask my cousins though.
Oh, can we put the volume up on Jana? Jana, did you want to reflect on that sharing from Takata?
I was saying that, by the way, Ahmed is my cousin, and that's beautiful story. And first, like we can, it's because of occupation not allowing us to do anything, not allowing us to defend our families. Like most of the girl prisoners or any prisoner Israeli law, Israeli jails are arrested just for being Palestinian or trying to defend their family, trying to defend their home, trying to just live like any other person in the world. So welcome for everybody to come. Our houses are open and can come anytime you want.
We would all love to be there alongside you, but we are there with you in the fight.
Thank you very much.
I just want to ask you, Jana, when you think about the power that you hold and about being more powerful, you know, this convening is to bring together grantmakers to try and channel more funding to girl-led and to girls globally around the world. And when you consider the power that you currently have or what you could have, how do you think funders can actually support you getting there?
They can support us Palestinian girls in a lot of ways. For example, one of the important issues are child prisoners and girl prisoners. Why would an 11 years old girl go to jail? Because of her trying to defend her family, because of her trying to defend her home from not getting demolished. I think that that's a really important issue because first thing, her parents are the ones who have to pay for her food in the jail. Her parents are the ones who have to pay for her clothes, have to pay for the time she gets sentenced and before she go out of the jail. And there are a lot of girls that cannot provide going to school or cannot provide just buying pads on their periods, and that could just be a really bad issue because of killing their father, killing their mother, so they can nobody in their family works for money. And we as like Palestinian children, there are a lot of us that are refugees in Palestine. Like in 48, in 1948, about till now, about 8 million refugees of Palestine got out of Palestine, and about 1 million even more are in Palestine. So imagine a refugee in your own. So that's a main important. They are refugees. Some of them are living in tents, going to their schools on donkeys, and although on donkeys, and then stop them on. And also, lastly, I just want to say about our new project here in Saleh. We have done it. 7 children, or all of us, or 11 years old, except 2 of us are 12. And we did that project to do slime for Palestine. We started to do slime and sell it. And we're trying to get money, and we're gathering it till the end of this year, and then we're gonna send it for the children and the girl prisoners, and also for the children and girls and boys from Gaza who got their legs cropped because of the big return march, because of them trying to hold a Palestinian flag and sing on the border and saying that we don't want borders. That's like we're trying to support those people because they're really in need for help.
Similar reflections and a lot of shared experiences that the other girls on this panel have. Jana, I'm going to bring in some of their views. Hopefully your Wi-Fi will continue being as strong as you are and keep you connected to us. And I'll come back to you with your reflections, but feel free. I can't see you out of both corners of my eye, but I'll keep looking at the screen if you want to come in. Tanisha, I wondered if you could share your journey with those of us in the room about how you became to be an activist or a leader right here in Puerto Rico.
Sí. Buenos días. Gracias por la oportunidad que me están dando hoy. Pues es algo que no puedo decir que lo traigo desde muy pequeña, porque cuando yo estudié en una escuela especializada en teatro y eso era como... Yo estaba totalmente encerrada en ese mundo. No estaba pendiente a nada de lo que pasaba alrededor. Cuando salgo de high school, ahí me doy cuenta de mi alrededor. Salgo de esa burbuja donde yo estoy atrapada. Me doy cuenta de la necesidad que hay en mi comunidad, lo que necesitan las personas, la necesidad que hay en la educación, en la salud, y pues comienzo a involucrarme. Hace ya como 2 años conozco a la familia de Taller Salud, y pues comencé a desarrollarme ahí, a integrarme más con mi comunidad, a ayudar, a traer talleres, a buscar personas que pudieran potenciar el máximo de la capacidad que tienen las personas de mi comunidad, y llega el huracán. Y me cambia la vida totalmente. Ahí fue donde yo realmente me di cuenta el poder que yo tenía de poder ayudar a las demás personas. Trabajamos mucho en talleres para capacitarme, para lograr ser promotora de salud. Ayudé constantemente a personas de mi comunidad, estamos trabajando con la reconstrucción. Y actualmente estoy trabajando un proyecto, se llama PAYE, Piñones Aprende y Emprende, porque yo soy del pueblo de Loíza, soy de Piñones. Una de las escuelas, la única escuela que hay en la comunidad, la cerraron. Así que todos los niños que estaban en esa escuela se tienen que mover a otras escuelas. Demasiado lejos de la distancia donde queda la escuela a donde quedan las otras escuelas donde se tienen que mover. Y pues tomamos la decisión de crear ese proyecto por la necesidad que hay en la educación, porque entendemos que la educación es lo primordial y es necesario. Porque si nosotros tenemos una buena educación, somos inclusivos y trabajamos con nuestra comunidad, pues podemos evitar muchas cosas. Y esa es una de las cosas que pues, me han llevado hasta donde estoy hoy.
You're saying, Tanisha, just around, and I think Jana brought it up as well, just this, I think when we think about girls getting involved in activism, we're like, why is it? But I think the thread that we're already seeing between the first 2 speakers is really around a necessity. It's a need to want to react to the situation around you and the things that are being denied to you. It's not about looking, I think a lot of funders or a lot of people when they talk about girls talk about the future, but you guys are feeling those realities right now. And you're reacting to something right now. I want to bring in Shai and your experience and your movement into activism or into the work you do with Young Women's Freedom Center in Oakland in California, and just off the back of Jana and Tanisha's thoughts.
Well, what brought me into activism at the Young Women's Freedom Center was at the time, man, like I was going from place to place.
I think you might need to raise your voice.
Oh, sorry. I think it's because this is...
Yeah, I think it might have just dropped. It's all right, none of us are used to these wires going through our bodies.
I think I think I was always an activist in a way. I think even when I was a child, and I would express how I felt to teachers. I would express how I felt to my grandparents. I always felt like an outsider, so I always felt like I had to speak up. But when I had finally got to the Young Women's Freedom Center, I felt like I finally found a place where with a bunch of women can think and we can do the same things, and we can fight for our freedom. We can fight for liberation. We can fight for peace. And you know, at the center, like we got a lot of we got like these core values and accords that we use, and I start to use those accords in my everyday life. And sorry, and at the center, it opened me up to what I wanted to do. Like for a long time, I didn't know that I didn't know that I was an activist. I didn't know that I could use my intelligence and use my voice in a more positive way. And the things that I was saying was smart. The things that I was doing made sense. The things that I was doing, the power that I had, I learned that power, and I learned how to conquer it, and I learned how to use it in better ways. I learned how to speak for all of the other young women and girls that are no longer here. Our voices have been silenced and they cannot speak any longer. So I think that was like my journey into like activist work.
It's really powerful to hear. Tandiwe, I wonder if you can bring out, and you know, you come from we're hearing from places where attention is not given, you know. The Palestinian struggle comes in and out of the media. We don't hear about what's happening in Puerto Rico. We think things are fine in the US. And we don't even know where Belize is. A lot of people don't, you know?
No one
Luckily
does.
we do. You are one of the winners of the With and For Girls Awards, but I want you to tell us, Tandiwe, about your journey into what you do.
Yes, so my journey kind of started a bit like Shai's. Like, I think I always had that like fiery activist spirit in me, given to me by my parents in my household, where like my mom and my dad identified as Pan-Africanist and feminist, and so I kind of got that activism fire from very young. And I think one of my first experiences that really stood out to me when I recognized that like this is what I was meant to do, to be an activist, was I was in primary school, and in Belize we don't have like a great comprehensive sexuality education program in schools. So what they do is they'd have, if your school was progressive, then they'd be kind enough to invite someone to come and talk to you about sexual education and child abuse and things like that. So my school was one of those schools. And so this lady came in to talk about these things, and this little boy, I don't know if he was in my class, and I don't know if he was like nervous or what, but they were talking about sexual violence, and he laughed, and like I was so mad. I was like, this is a serious matter, like why are you laughing? And I was so upset. So I don't think the matter was resolved enough. So we had a break, and at break time, I grabbed my friend and we like went down to the principal's office and was like, listen, this guy did this and we don't like it. We don't think it's right. And the school I went to was very loving and progressive. So the principal, you know, went up to the class afterward and like gave a talk to everybody about why this isn't a laughing matter and why we should take these things seriously. And I think that moment where I saw something that I felt was wrong, and I went to the right person about it, and something was done, that's when I think I got the idea instilled in me that, you know, I could do something when I don't think something is right. So that's kind of how I started off. And then in 2011, I helped to start Gaur Power, which is the youth arm of Power. So POWA stands for Productive Organization for Women in Action. So the acronym in Belizean Creole, so power in English translates to power. So it's POWA, and that's also the acronym. And so POWA works primarily with women And it was born out of the need because where I live in the south of Belize, in Dangriga, in the Sand Creek district, we have and had very high rates of HIV and gender-based violence, and so Power was born out of that need. Power works with like economic empowerment, doing sessions on gender-based violence, sexual and reproductive health, having women access sexual and reproductive health services. And I saw a need for girls to have that because, I mean, I realized that girls go into women and the cycle continues because girls in my community, they're oppressed, and when they grow up, they don't just magically become unoppressed. So the cycle continues. So in 2011, like, I grabbed my mom, I was like, we have to start Girl Power. And so we started in my grandma's basement. It would get flooded during the rainy season. We'd have to like bail it out, but nevertheless, we met every Sunday. And it was just a group of girls coming together, and we do activities with the guidance of my mom and myself. We did activities around self-esteem, leadership skills. This is what we still do. I said did, but this is what we still do: leadership skills, advocacy, sexual and reproductive health, comprehensive sexuality education, all these things that we felt girls like myself lack. We don't get that from our communities and from our families and from our education system and from our society. And these are things that we need to be productive citizens and to try to pull ourselves out of the oppression that we experience. So that's what we did, that's how we started, and that's what we still do. Yeah.
Amazing. What an incredible journey. And Tokata, like we've seen you, a lot of us have put the hashtag #NoDAPL. I just want to know a little bit about your journey into that within your community and how things are going at the moment for those of us that aren't in the US that were following from overseas.
Yeah, so I think there really was no journey for me. Well, from the day that I was born and from the very first memories that I have, I've always known that it was my duty to be a guardian and a protector of the Mother Earth because she's given everything for us all to be here. And that's just sort of been, that's the indigenous way of life, really. You know, indigenous peoples all over the globe believe that we should honor and respect Mother Earth. And so I guess I just was born into activism. And, ever since I was really young, I think, there's an obvious difference between my communities and the communities that surround it. And so just growing up knowing that I was different, and also that there were things happening in my community that were wrong and that I had the power to do something about, because I know that my ancestors lived in a way that was in peace with the earth and in peace with all other living beings. And so I know that I always knew, and I know now still, that there's a way to live in harmony with everything else. And so I know that it is possible to get back to that. And so, there's that, and then also my wonderful parents who also raised me to be, I guess, just really strong in my own thoughts and my own beliefs. And they've always told me not to be scared, and they always tell me, my dad, he always says this before I speak, he says, as long as you're speaking your truth, somebody's listening. And so,
Wise words from your dad.
I remember really when I was young, and we would drive because we have to drive an hour to get to one of the cities with adequate grocery stores and shopping malls and stuff. And so we would go there, and I would always ask him, how come the houses look so nice here? Why are there so many different colors of houses? And because on the reservation, we have government housing, and it's all the same color. They come in like 3 colors. It's an army green, it's a blue, and it's a teal. Not a teal, a tan. And so, like, I just always remember thinking, why is it so boring here? Like, everything here looks the same, and nothing ever changes. And when I go to these different cities, you know, I see all of these beautiful houses, and they've all got gardens, and everything's like different and beautiful. And I think really that was the first like time that I realized that we were living in poverty. We were living in a life where, you know, we were oppressed. And so growing up knowing that my ancestors didn't live like that. You know, we didn't live in box houses. Nothing was the same for every one of us. We all had our own individuality, I guess, and just reflecting on the fact that my ancestors were so strong and so powerful. We were warriors, and we were like beautiful, beautiful people, and we still are. It's just now there's a perception that Native Americans or Indians are not that way. You know, the colonizers came to the land and told us that we were uncivilized, and they spread that message around, and it still exists today. And I wanted to change that. And so I think that's really what I'm still doing, and I'm still on the journey, I guess, to activism. So.
And I think, you know, like when we were talking about it earlier, just with everyone else, I think this common theme about colonization and just this deep impact that it has on all of us, these systems of oppression that are the remnants of colonialism. It is successful in still being able to oppress us even today, and even no matter where in the world, and we're seeing it happening right in Palestine at the moment. And I think with that in mind, I just wanted to also pick up on Shai, you were reflecting earlier just around how that resonates today in terms of who's visible and who's invisible in our society.
Yes, I was reflecting on, because in the Bay Area, a lot of girls have been missing or coming up dead. We recently lost a young girl named Nia Wilson at MacArthur BART station. Her throat was slashed, and her sister ended up getting cut too. But the way they portrayed her wasn't as a victim. They portrayed her as the perpetrator, and they portrayed the perpetrator as the victim. They released a photo of her holding a gun, but talked about the man having a mental illness. And it affected me so deeply because it's like this girl she was only 18 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. And to know that you at the BART station and you're listening to your music, minding your business, and somebody just comes to you and take your life, and it's that easy, and he's gonna get away with it, it affects me as another young woman, that to know that it is okay for somebody to just walk up to me and take my life and get away with it any moment, any time that they can. And like, you know, like even with all of these other young girls that have been coming up missing, another young woman got released really late at night from Santa Rita jail. And I took that walk along with a lot of my sisters from the center. We all took that walk, and it's really dark. It's no lights, and they found her dead the next day. Mm-hmm. They only gave her a $4 BART ticket, and she lives all the way in Oakland, and we were all the way in, I think, Dublin. Yeah, Dublin, and it just was crazy to me because someone. Like, for instance, I learned this story that it was this young white woman who had, somebody just recently told me this yesterday, this young white woman who had gotten stabbed, but her picture was on the news for like weeks on end. But no one takes into considerations about these young women that have been recently dying and going missing. There's so many young women in my city that have been going missing that no one is keeping track of. It's so many young women that have been released from Santa Rita and no one has been looking for them. No one even knows that they're missing. and it's like our voices is silenced. No one is paying attention to us. It's like we are not human anymore, or it's really hurtful to me to know that my life doesn't matter that much, that I can go miss it at any moment, and the next day no one would think about or hear about me, or hear about my sister, or hear about any other young women that have been missing or have been killed.
And I think it's an uncomfortable truth that we all sit with, is just around the values that we place on people of color, and most of all girls of color. Tanisha, I could see you nodding, and I remember you also talking about the invisibility that you face here, and I just wanted to give you some space to reflect on that.
Nosotros tenemos una mentalidad de que todo termina siendo culpa de la mujer. Usualmente nosotros tenemos que cambiar esa mentalidad, porque toda la responsabilidad del mundo recae sobre la mujer. Si mataron a una mujer, es víctima de violencia doméstica, es culpa de la mujer. Si no crió a los hijos como tenía que criarlos, es culpa de la mujer. Y son cosas que nosotros tenemos que quitar, tenemos que erradicar y cambiar nuestro pensar. Porque si nosotros seguimos pensando en que todo lo que ocurre, todos los ejemplos que hayan dado es culpa de la mujer, vamos a seguir en lo mismo. No vamos a mejorar, no vamos a cambiar este mundo y todo se va a quedar igual. Por eso nosotros tenemos que ya empoderar a las mujeres, pensar que todas valemos, que todas podemos y que todas tenemos la capacidad de crear una nueva comunidad. Nosotras cuando las mujeres se unen, es una cosa extraordinaria, porque nosotros somos redes de apoyo. Y mientras nosotros estemos juntas siempre y trabajemos por nosotras, el mundo va a cambiar.
I totally agree, and I would say that one of the things that we always say as well is that, you know, if you change a girl's life, she will lift up her community. And whilst I do agree with those sentiments, I also think, why give a girl even more responsibility to hold up the community? Like, is it her role to, isn't it her right to have access to those things that boys have access to as well? And so it's a split thought in my own mind, how we hold those two thoughts and ideas and narratives alongside one another. Tandiwe, I just wanted to, I know you were also just talking about that reality within Belize as well, and what that means.
Is my mic on?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Like my sisters mentioned, for us, it's a narrative that it's the girl's fault, and that we don't have the power to change things. So I kind of, we take, for myself, we take the approach of human rights to, because in my community, like Belize, we were just recently a colony. We gained independence in 1981 from Britain, and so we still very much have the colonial mentality, and the idea that we are no good, we cannot do anything for ourselves, we're lazy, and especially for girls, because that's magnified in a patriarchal colonial mentality society. So girls have the idea that, one, they can't do anything, and that they don't deserve anything. And so it's kind of an undoing of that kind of idea. So we use human rights to have girls understand that education is your right. You know, it's not fair that you get kicked out of school for being pregnant and you can't come back. It's not fair for the school to have you go take a pregnancy test and give it to them unsealed. That's against your right. And so for girls to have that feeling that they deserve certain things, then they can then have the feeling that we will fight for it. And so that's kind of the idea. and having girls know that, like, you know, we are powerful, we deserve these things, and we'll get it for ourselves, because I mean nobody else is trying to. So might as well we get it done. We're doing everything else, so like, yeah.
Totally. And I'm sure those of us that do fund girls and girl-led movements often hear this, but you know, we walk into a room and we talk about the work that we do, and we talk about how powerful it is, that we talk about actually that girl-led movements are the ones that are really pushing for change all around the world, as we can see here, as we can see by those that can't be in the room with us today. And one of the things that always strikes me, and I'm sure other grant makers might feel this as well, you walk into a room and most of the other grant makers are men, most of them are white, most of them are a lot older than you. And I always get the whole, oh yeah, you do the cute girl-led funding. You know, not the serious, hard-hitting human rights stuff. Like, oh, that's really nice. What would you say to those people? Because I get very angry, but I want to know what you guys would say back to the type of funders who say that this stuff is cute, that it's not serious. Takata.
Yes, I mean, just the idea, I think, that women's rights, girls' rights, and the fight to get those is cute, is insulting, and it's ignorant. You're saying, that the sexual assault, the rape of women, the rape of girls is cute. It's not. You're saying that the thousands and thousands upon thousands of women and children and girls that go missing every year, that's cute. That's not. And like all of the atrocities, I guarantee you every woman in this room has an experience that she'd like to forget. Something that she'd like to change about what happened to her and make sure that her children, the future generations, the future daughters of the people in this room, make sure that those never happen to them. And so like to be, and I experienced this even as just a young person in a room, and in any conversation where there is a male or any conversation where there is somebody who is white. And I mean, and oftentimes it's unintentional, they don't mean to be privileged, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it is always a fight to like, it feels like in every conversation I'm fighting to speak. I'm fighting for my voice in every room that I enter and in every place that I go. And so calling that cute it's not okay. And it means that they don't get what we're fighting for. It means that they don't care and they don't wish to learn. You can stay cute for all they care. You know what I'm saying? So.
Dana, you've been patiently on the screen at the other end listening. What would you say to those people, to those funders that think that funding girls is a cute idea?
Yeah, it's a really cute idea, and because I believe that every person that feels other people's issues, other people's situation, is a human, and any person that does not feel what other people feel is not a human, because I see that a lot of people in that world have lost their humanity, and I don't consider them as human. And your situations and your stories were so emotional and so affecting. And it was amazing to just hear all of that story that inspires us to continue and to, like, that makes us feel that we're not neglected, that makes us feel that there are people who still have their humanity, who still have or want to share their stories with other people in this world. And I wish that people can help girls and can help people who are suffering and people who are not living like any other people in this world. And like I love you a lot. There's no words like to just say for that amazing and inspiring stories, and we love you a lot. It's like a really amazing thing just to see. Thank you very much. It's really amazing.
Totally. Tanisha, I could see the fire in your belly reacting to that. I want to know what you think.
Pues yo pienso que lo gracioso son esos comentarios, porque el trabajo que nosotros realizamos es un trabajo bastante fuerte. Creer que trabajar con niños que tienen discapacidad intelectual y es algo sencillo y es algo fácil, o sea, no lo es. Pensar que trabajar con mujeres víctimas de violencia doméstica y que es por puro chiste o pura broma, tampoco lo es. Y pensar que trabajar en comunidad es algo sencillo y sweet, tampoco lo es. Nuestro trabajo es fuerte. Día a día tú encuentras diferentes cosas a las que ayer tú te enfrentaste. No es fácil, no es fácil. Y duele mucho que las personas hagan esos comentarios, porque nos están tomando a nosotras como bromas y nosotras somos jóvenes que estamos aquí, que no pensábamos que íbamos a poder llegar a lugares como estos y hoy estamos aquí. O sea, nada más con ver todo este progreso y todas las cosas que nosotras hacemos por nuestra comunidad, o sea, eso no es una broma, esto es una realidad.
Shai, what do you think? What do you think?
Like you said, I would get angry, but it's just but it also doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And the reason why it doesn't surprise me is because, like I said, like before, our voices is always silent. It seemed like no matter what we are doing, if it seemed like when we are too loud, they want us to get even more quiet. They want to find another way to belittle us. They want to find another way to silence our voices. And in a way, I feel like it's just because their egos are bruised. You know, like it's so many women, trans women, gender non-conforming women that voices are silenced every day, that never even talk about some of the horrible things that ever happened to them because of people like that, because of people that, oh, that's cute, you know, like I mean I get that a lot too. Like I get that a lot as like people just, oh yeah, you're just a feminist that or a womanist that just complains, but you guys aren't doing anything about it. You guys are just here saying, making all of this work, just making a lot of noise for nothing. And the noise that we make apparently is you're hearing it because you're bothered by it. Yeah. So apparently it's working.
Yeah.
Is how I feel about it. So we're gonna keep annoying you. We're gonna keep attacking you until the job get done. Like,
amen to that. Tandiwe, you've been waiting for it.
Yes, sorry. No, I like everybody here. I mean, it's personal because I mean, I'm a girl, I'm a young woman. I know what I'm fighting for. I know what I'm fighting against, and it really hurts me when people place such little value on what we're doing, and it points to the bigger picture of how the world sees and values women and girls. And that hurts me. It shows that very little value is placed on us and what we do and what happens to us. And so even for the Grantmakers that are working on things that they think is more important, women and girls have a stake in each one of those things in human rights. I mean, women's rights are the most violated rights ever. So how could you think that what we are doing isn't as powerful as what you are doing? I mean, the environment, women are the ones that have to walk 100 more kilometers because the well that they used to go to dried up, you know? The women are the ones that can't farm anymore because there's a drought, that they can't find food for their families. So these are the things that affects women's lives and girls' lives. And so all of those things are interconnected, and it shows that those grant makers can't possibly be doing a good job because they're leaving a very, very large part of the equation out of their attempt to solve the problem.
Absolutely. We were also having some really interesting reflections this morning about when money does come to you and the problems that it faces when you do get that money. And I think, we've seen this with some of our With and For Girls Awards winners. The girls take the decision on who wins, the resources get there, and we try and attempt to have the girls actually lead the way that funding gets used by the organization that they're in. But I know that you guys have got different experiences of when money has come into your organization and the way that the resources have been used and the struggles that even has. And Takata, I was wondering if you could share your reflections on that, and so others can respond and add theirs.
Yeah. So, as I'm sure some of you, and maybe not all of you, but know about Standing Rock and the camps that were made on the land there. And that entire movement, the movement of Standing Rock, was inspired by the youth. It was inspired mostly by young indigenous women. And so in the beginning, I think we all knew what we were there for. We all knew that we had one goal, and that was to protect the water. And I think as, people coming in to our communities and as the adults started to get involved, we end up having different goals. And so, especially I think when we started to get funds and we started to get donations and things like that, most of it did, go to the basic necessities of life, like food and water, but as for some of it, we started to get conflicted among each other. We started to get angry with each other and stubborn about where the funds are supposed to go. And I think that's because, and I know that is because when you live in a community that is impoverished and where there isn't very much money to begin with, every little drop is something that's so huge, and it needs to be dealt with in the correct way. And right now in these communities, like reservations, it's what is it saying, crabs in a bucket. We're all fighting to get that one little drop when we should share it, or we should put our minds together to see what one goal we can put those funds to. But that's not how it works, because that's not how the system works. And so I think what would help for those who are looking to give money and to give resources to these communities is to look at where you're going and be specific about where you want your money to go. Say you want your money to go to girls' rights, you look at the community and the programs that are already in place there and see exactly who you need to give those funds to. Because if you're just giving to the leaders of the community, you're never going to know where that money's going. And I think the main goal should be, you're not giving to the little weak brown people. That's not what's happening.
Absolutely not.
And I think a lot of times people who do want to give money are looking for that narrative. They want to look for the narrative of I'm helping the poor fallen brown people and, now be proud of me. But these people that you're acting like the savior of were already strong on their own. You have to.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's changing the narrative of being a savior or a hero to an ally of a strong people that your ancestors oppressed. It's that. It's reconciliation. It's not that you're saving us, it's that we're forgiving you. That's what it is.
Is Malia standing up right now? We just have 5 more minutes left of this panel, and I'm sure you can all agree we could probably sit up here and listen to these girls speak all day, because I think what this panel has really reminded us is just how much power there is, how much knowledge and wisdom there is that's there, and also just a call for funders to be a lot more courageous, to feel more uncomfortable, to center girls' voices in what you're doing. That's my little piece, but I want to end with you guys sharing your kind of final reflections on this panel. What do you want the people in the room to go away remembering? I'll start with you, Jana, if you can still hear us.
I want everybody to remember that women have the power to do anything they want, anything a man can do, and even more. And that we have to control our fears and don't let our fears control us, because if our fears control us, we're not going to live. And also, I want to tell you that a thing that I live on is the bullet that does not kill you, gives you more strength. And how to provide you with more strength, because you just want to live. You just want to have, not have your rights violated. And I heard that there are a lot of people from Puerto Rico, and I only know that Spanish word, te amo, all of you. And we love you a lot.
Amazing. Lots of good vibes going out to you, Jana. Tanisha, what are your final reflections you want people here to leave thinking about?
Pues que de la misma manera que mis compañeras, pues las mujeres tienen la capacidad para tomar sus propias decisiones, la capacidad para seguir construyendo comunidad, la capacidad para mejorar la salud de las mujeres, que es tan importante, y que cada una tenemos la capacidad, es que desarrollar nuestro potencial. O sea, yo me siento tan entusiasmada por todas mis compañeras, me siento motivada porque aún salgo de aquí con más ideas para poder seguir creando en mi comunidad, y estoy consciente de que eso no se queda aquí. Que cada una de las cosas que ellas han ido trabajando y las experiencias que yo he adquirido en mi comunidad me hacen tener más fortaleza, más ganas de seguir ayudando, porque todo lo que ellas han creado y lo que yo he escuchado es algo que yo en mi comunidad también puedo realizar, y me siento totalmente complacida, agradecida y orgullosa, porque sus historias sirven de inspiraciones para mí.
Claro.
Gracias.
Gracias. Shy. Who's not shy?
I would want, can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
What is your final thoughts or reflections that you want the people in this room to remember thinking about and to take to the work that they do, to take to the money that they move?
I want the people that are here to remember that we are all young women sitting here on this panel who was brave enough to come here and tell our stories and tell the stories of many other young women and girls that have been impacted by oppression and by the systems and by all of these negative things that I just really honestly don't want anyone to go home and forget about us and forget about what we have spoken about today. I want this day to last with everybody forever, and I want peace. I just want our voices to finally be heard. So.
Thank you, Shai. Tandiwe.
I want everybody to, one, remember that we as girls are powerful and we are deserving. And in terms of funders and grant makers, this is a problem that as a member of a small organization, as a grassroots organization, that we have no staff, we run on very limited budgets, and it's girl-led for girl power, and so, you know, we go to school, and there is a need for funding to carry out what we're doing, but I think there's also a need for funders to be supportive of us, to find new or interesting ways to, we understand accountability, but find ways to support us in that, because we don't have a team of staff to do our accounting or write your reports on time. So, yeah, so that's something. So if you're giving out funding and there are requirements that place a barrier for us, then you aren't giving us funding. So please keep that in mind.
Thank you, Tandiwe. Tokata.
I think, or is this, I don't know.
I think so.
Okay. I think the first thing that I want to leave you with is the fact that there's this pipeline still pumping oil through Standing Rock. And that is something that we all need to remember. And I know that, you know, my experience at Standing Rock is my story, you know. But I'm here to share my story. And if you could, like all of you, just whenever you can, share with a friend, just remember us, and remember that, you know, there are communities of Indigenous people, not only in the US, but all across the globe, who face predicaments like this and share their story. We don't have time to be afraid to stumble over our words anymore, you know? It's come to a place and it's come to a time where we need to start standing and we need to start speaking, no matter if we're shy or scared. And so I give my story to all of you, and I ask you and I plead with you to share it wherever you can. And I also want to say that where I live now, I've moved from Standing Rock. I live on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. And right now we are facing a different pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline. And so wherever you can, please start sharing that story. And also, the last thing I think that I'd like to leave you with is that I'm so thankful to be here and to be on a panel with so many other powerful young girls, and to be in this room, which is mostly beautiful women of color. And it feels so good to be in a space and to know that I'm welcome and heard here. And so thank you.
Thank you. I will leave you all with a thought just before we move into Q&As, but I think, you know, I always say to my team when I go into meetings that I have the best job in the world, that I get to fund girl-led organizations, that I get to be schooled by them, that they get to decide like how we strategize, how we make our funding. But I feel very, very honored to have learned so much this morning from these guys and over the past weeks while we've been planning. I would urge us all to not forget the girls that can't make it here. They can't make it here because they're being silenced in lots of different ways. And I would also just say that in these really demoralizing times that we're facing, there is nothing more powerful than the infectious energy of young girls and feminist activists. I'm sure you guys all have lots of questions. I'm sure there's a roving mic going around, or there's questions coming. So please do raise your hand or let us know if you've got questions for any of the panelists up here.
Is this on? Good morning, everybody. Let me just stand up.
Yeah. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'll introduce myself. Good morning again. My name is K.I. short for Candy Kalani Ifopo. I'm Samoan. My family is rooted out of the Oceania, Samoa. I'm born stateside. And I just want to say thank y'all for filling my cup, because I usually give out of an empty cup, and this right here, it just refilled my cup. And a young person that I work with at the Young Women's Freedom Center. I'm from the Bay Area, San Francisco. I live in District 10, Bayview, Hunters Point, the last of Black and brown folks and poly folks. And so I'm just here today to learn and be inspired by you young folks. And so my reflection of y'all panel, thank you again. I'm just speechless. I heard while listening, and I took from all of y'all voicing and strength. They act as if we're not human anymore. I also took gender-based violence, honoring and respecting motherland all over the globe is important, and it is our duty to protect the land. And also, education is a priority, which Sis said, and it should be a practice of freedom everywhere. And so, at the Young Women's Freedom Center, I'm one of the organizers there who is on the ground. And what I want to give to the Grantmakers, the folks that are here, be bold. Be bold, be courageous, be different, just do the unthinkable, like our young folks. We should decolonize the narrative of Grantmakers, the narrative of systems, the narrative of folks who assume what Black and brown people of all color people need when it comes to money coming towards our passionate, our why we do this work. It's not work, it's our lives. There's a difference. Yeah. It's more than just, hey, let's give money to this because it's a trend, or that hashtag is lit, that hashtag is popping. You know what I'm saying? So it's more than that. These young folks just gave it to us. And so I wanted to share what we have at the Young Women's Freedom Center. We done created a Bill of Rights that was at a convening we had at Sister Warriors last year in 2017 in the Bay Area of Oakland, California. This Bill of Rights was birthed from system-involved, system-impacted, girls at the margin, women and girls and gender non-conforming folks. I'm someone who's GNC, and I come to realize that down the end, I might be a healer and I'm two-spirited, and that's okay, you know? So, and my goal is to share that with other folks and let them know that being in your truth, thank you, sis, that what your pop said is real. Like, when you be in your truth, someone and more people are listening. Yeah. And so I just wanted to read the Bill of Rights. One is, we have the right to self-determination. We must determine what success looks like for ourselves. We have the right to lay our own paths, free from punitive and controlling systems, and the right to impute voice around all services impacting our lives. And that's the Bill of Rights 1 that all these women and girls and folks that came to this community and they created. And to end it, I wanted to say the last one, 12. 12 is something I personally relate to, and I'm pretty sure a lot of folks can too, and that is the Bill of Rights 12. We have the right to be consulted when institution wants to create, revise, and implement policies, legislations, rules, or laws that will impact the way we experience systems. And it's deeper than that. It's we at the tables. They deserve, they need, it is demand that they be at those tables when grants are being made and picked to where it should go. They should be the one leading this work. Investing in women and girls and gender nonconforming folks' leadership is important, and it should be always a priority.
Thank you so much. We had a hand up here and one over here. Yep.
Hi, my name is Manisha. I'm from the Wellspring Philanthropic Fund. First of all, I don't know what to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I feel like even that's not enough. If someone asks me what power looks like, this is what power looks like. You have moved us in so many ways. You've given us so much to think about. So I don't have a question. I wanted to thank you, but I also wanted to put out a call for action amongst us, which is, I think, that many of us here in this room are actually the converted. And I think one thing that we need to take back is not just supporting this work, but what role do we play to get your voices out in ways with others who have the power, sadly sometimes, to make a difference. And how do we do that? And what is our role in ensuring that happens? And how do we get others to also go on this journey and get converted as well? And I think that's something that we need to think about as a community of grant makers. So I wanted to put that out there. And the other thing I think that you've made us, which is there but has really amplified in this, is that in whatever work we do, that we don't forget that it is political work, and how do we ensure the continued politicization of that work, whatever the thematic area we may be working on. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha. I would just share a little reflection on that. I totally agree that we as funders need to change. I think we need to think about how do the people that we're trying to work with actually inform and make decisions that we're sat here making, thinking that we know the right things. I also think that when do we give our seat up and allow girls to come to the table instead? We do a lot of work to try and get girls coming on the panel. So when we were asked to come, we were like, can we get two of our winners and two of the girls to come along as well? Women for Girls is also hosting the closing plenary of the Human Rights Funders meeting. It is 11 amazing girl activists. They're running the whole panel. I think we as funders need to give up our positions and I know the ironic sense of me saying that, like sat on stage myself as a funder, but I want to say that we should relinquish our seats and we should give it to people to actually take forward the conversation rather than keep on holding on to it. I saw someone with a hand here.
Hi, my name is Lulid. I am from the Women's Foundation of Minnesota. I also want to echo the thanks and gratitude for all that you've shared. My question is, so a lot of us are funders and a lot of us are women of color who have a very special relationship with girls of color. And we have our own challenges in the sector of philanthropy. So often we're also battling these institutions that aren't necessarily built for our existence in them. So as we are working to support and resource girls of color, what would you say is helpful for women of color to do, and what would you say is hurtful for women of color to do? Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to take that? Yep, go for it, Tandiwe.
I think I could at least contribute. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment, but I think for me, and I think for a lot of other girls of color, I think support and mentorship from women of color in this work is really, really important to me, because even when I'm in space, and I think sometimes women of color, for me, have been through so much, I feel kind of almost like closed off or, I don't know, intimidated. So just like be supportive for us, for it to be easier for us to, voice our truth. It's really, really helpful. And even here, if somebody just, yesterday I was with a wonderful group of women who let me sit at their table for lunch, and it just made me, because like you're in a new place, you're alone, you're young, you're carrying all these things, and it's really, really helpful for our aunties to be there for us.
Anyone else? Shai, have you got a reflection? Yeah, I'll let Shai go and then Takata, and then Tanisha.
I think what's really helpful for each other is that
Cause like where I come from, like a lot of girls, we tend to not get along. We tend to not want anything to do with each other. But I think what is helpful is that we give each other a chance. We give each other a chance to get to know another woman for who they are. I feel like it's helpful that we get to know each other and to have an understanding and realize that it is hard for another woman to be here and that it would help for us to be in more solidarity. I feel like that's what can help us together as women. And it is hard also because I feel like patriarchy puts a lot onto us to make us think of each other as the intimidators, as the enemy. It makes it easier for us to be the enemy instead of us being sisters, instead of us being people together. So it's easier for us to take our anger out on each other instead of who is the one to actually blame for why we are doing these things.
Thanks so much, Shai. Takata.
I think one thing, and I'm speaking from experience, is that when like funders come into the community, a lot of times we're not a part of the conversation. Like, sure, we're getting the funds, but we are not a part of the conversation about where those funds go to or like sort of what's happening. And so I do think including young girls of color and just members of the community who maybe aren't as outspoken, because those are where you're going to find your real answers. Yeah. And including them in the conversation about where they need the most help. But also, I think leading by example is a big thing. So with your group or with any group of funders, it's going to be, and I've noticed this myself, is that oftentimes the people who want to fund projects or communities that they're inspired by don't live by the same sort of like values as the people in the communities live by. So in my community, it's an indigenous community and we really value our connection to the earth. But some of the funders that came in were trying to provide donations and then also committing violent acts of just assault on our Mother Earth. And so it's like, where's that sort of blurred line of where do you hold yourselves accountable and then how can you show that to the people that you're funding? And so I think that would be greatly appreciated. And again, I'm speaking from experience, so but so yeah, and also, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, I think that's it for now.
Tanisha or Jana, did you have reflections or anything you wanted to add?
Pues mi comunidad es una de las que queda más alejada del casco del pueblo. Si lo que los une son dos puentes, esos dos puentes si se caen, Piñones queda como una isla sin nada de ayuda. Si llegan los fondos, nosotros podemos trabajar para fomentar más espacios comunitarios. Nosotros no tenemos, actualmente nosotros estamos en lugares prestados para dar nuestros servicios. Nosotros no estamos en un lugar fijo. Nosotros trabajamos en la comunidad mano a mano en cualquier lugar donde se nos encuentre y actualmente lo que necesitamos son más formas para capacitarnos, un lugar donde nosotras podamos estar y dar nuestros mejores servicios, porque nuestra comunidad es una de las comunidades, o sea, muchas personas de color y a veces tampoco escuchan nuestros reclamos. Nos dejan en el olvido y pues nosotros hemos tenido que sacar la cara por nuestra comunidad, dar lo mejor de nosotros, porque a la larga los únicos que nos tenemos somos nosotros mismos. A veces el gobierno se olvida totalmente de las comunidades marginadas, se olvida totalmente que ahí viven personas. Y esas son las cosas que nosotros debemos evitar. Y si llegan los fondos, pues nosotros podemos así crear más proyectos comunitarios y que las personas entiendan que en Piñones vive gente y que en Loíza también.
are unfortunately at time, so we can't take any more Q&As. But Jana, I wanted you to add any reflections that you had on those questions to round us up for the day.
I just wanted to say that we all have to have equality, justice in our world, because we're all humans at the end. What's it called? We're all like the same and have the same rights, have to live the same, have to not face problems as the problems that are here right now. And I wish that from every single person that can help, to help any girl that is in need, because today is the International Girls' Day, and I wish that this world would be a world full of peace, a world full of love, a world full of equality, a world as we all want and all right here wish. And again, thank you very much for those amazing, inspiring words. And really got me so inspired, and it's amazing to just hear your stories. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Just join me in thanking the amazing panelists, including those that have been on Wi-Fi coming in.